Well, as the hush falls upon the crowd, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is cold outside, but it is very bright, and it's nice symbolism for what we're trying to do here today. It's a bright day downtown. It's a bright day in the Broadway district. We're happy to have all of you here today with us. Yours truly. My name is Garrett Bader, a proud member of the On Broadway Board of Directors. We really are happy to have all of you here today to announce a facility that many have longed for, many have wanted to see in our community for quite some time. And we're going to unveil that project here shortly, the details behind it, how we will ultimately make it happen. But first I want to recognize some folks that are here today and thank them for a lot of effort and a lot of encouragement that's gone on to have this happen. The rest of our On Broadway board team that's here, we have our board president, Gail McNutt, sitting here in the audience. We also have our other board members. Ryan Martin is here. Brad Toll, I know, is here. Am I missing anybody? Ms. Barb Lemieux. How could I forget? Great. Well, thank you all for being here. Our wonderful OBI staff, starting out with Allie Tutt, who put this all together in conjunction with North Coast Productions. Thank you. Allie did a great job putting this together. Brooke Hafes, who many of you heard from, received the email from. Brooke did a wonderful job. Quincy Fassbender, Casey Ponchad, Chelsea Koken, back in the fold here at On Broadway. Great to see her. And of course, all led by our executive director, my good friend, and the birthday boy today, Brian Johnson. We'll be hearing from Brian a little bit later, of course, in the presentation. Judy Knutson, are you here? I want to say hello to Judy if she made it from Brown County Extension. Thank you. Judy's back there. We'll be announcing some partnerships that we're working on as well. Jeff Marcus is here, I know, our friends at DGBI and his team. Thank you, Jeff, for coming. Neil Steck-Schulte and the city, family, economic development. We always love having you guys involved as well. Jay Schillinger, I'd say our host with the most, our current building owner, has worked with us a number of times to try to make this happen, and I think this is now the time that it's going to work. Grafe, I know Pat Skalecki is here. We're going to have some, Grafe's been working on us to help verifying what we have and what we can do. We're very helpful for them. And Mayor Eric Gemrick, who will be up here momentarily to share a few words. So today, on Broadway, we're proud to announce this has been over 5 years in the making, through fits and starts, through different buildings, looking at options, properties that sold, global pandemics, few things that got in the way. But that the building that you're sitting in right now, Old Fort Square as it's known, is going to be turning into the future home as we tilt here for you of the Broadway public market. So we cannot wait to share many details on this, as we will. Right now, though, I'd like to invite up the mayor, who will say a few words. Eric.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Garrett, and thanks so much for having me here today. This is an exciting day for Green Bay, for downtown Green Bay, for greater Green Bay, for this entire region. This is very, very exciting. So I think a lot of folks are familiar with public markets. If you've done a little bit of traveling around the country or the world, you have a sense for what sort of amenities you might find there, but what makes them really interesting is the fact that you always will find local elements, local proprietors and businesses that are indicative of the community that you're visiting, and so they can be very attractive to those who are traveling around the country and visiting your community. Green Bay is all about creating interesting spaces and places, and a public market is absolutely something that will be attractive, not just to residents here in this community, but I think people all around the country who oftentimes are coming through and visiting. I also think this is, it's really a great place to have something like a public market, and just thinking about the history of On Broadway. I don't know if Nalita Burr is here. She might have to fact check me a little bit, but Old Fort Square plays a really pivotal role, an important role in the history of On Broadway. My dad talks about the fact that, I think it's almost 30 years now, I had the first taste on Broadway in this facility. So, like I said, played a really important role in this history, and I think it's interesting and fitting that it's going to continue to play a role in the evolution of this district and the evolution of downtown Green Bay. So again, just really here to celebrate this collaboration, to thank Brian and the entire On Broadway team, all the entrepreneurs that are really excited to get engaged and to be tenants here. General Capital is also in the house, so really excited to see what they are thinking about as well for this parcel and maybe some of the property behind this facility. So again, congratulations to On Broadway on this achievement. We know that we're not to the finish line at this point, but this is a really important day for our business improvement district here, downtown Green Bay and Green Bay as a region. So thanks for having me, and really looking forward to doing whatever we can from the city's perspective to make sure that we get to the finish line.
Thank you, Mayor. So you're wondering, what is the public market? What are we hoping to achieve? What do we want to see happen? It's time to hear from Mr. Johnson. He'll introduce that and what you're going to hopefully be seeing in the near future.
All right. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Mayor, as well, for your support and leadership to help us get here. Boy, the sunlight's going to be tough to see. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of run through the basic nuts and bolts of how we're going to get there. Probably the least interesting piece of our presentation today, but one of the more important pieces. But before we get there, I want to take just a minute because not everybody is familiar with what is On Broadway and what do we do. So we are a business improvement district. We are a designated Wisconsin Main Street program. As a result, we are also a nationally accredited Main Street program through the Main Street America program. Within the city of Green Bay, there are 3 downtown business improvement districts, and Garrett recognized Jeff Merkus earlier, who runs the downtown Green Bay and Old Main Street business improvement districts, and of course we are the west side that is led by our own separate board of directors. And one person that was missed that is on our board in here today, Tommy Everman with Gather. Thank you, Tommy, one of our small business owners that are a member of our board. And so we follow what's called the 4-point approach. As an organization, we are involved in a lot of things. Some of the things that are most recognizable that I think all of you have probably taken part in some shape or form are special events. Farmers Market on Broadway, Ignite Market, Taste on Broadway, which was mentioned earlier, as well as the 4th of July fireworks. So we do a lot of programming throughout the year that attracts over 400,000 people a year to the Broadway district. It's a very critical piece of what we do. But it's not all that we do, even though it is the face of our organization. We are also involved in economic vitality, which is something we're here to talk about today, business recruitment and retention, and how do we support the small businesses that are located here in our district? How do we fill vacant spaces? We're involved in design. So when you think about urban design, streetscape design, public art installations, we have our staff does a really great job with advancing some of those initiatives. They don't just happen on their own, and our team works very hard to make that happen in conjunction with city staff. And then, of course, you can't do all of that if you don't have a strong organization. Part of that includes donors, which is going to be a really critical piece to make this project come to fruition, making sure you have a strong board, a strong volunteer base. All of those things are very important to any nonprofit, including ours. So I want to give you a quick project snapshot, and these are some of the things that we're going to talk about here very quickly, but this just gives you an overview of a number of things that we think are critically important to the success of this project. The first one that I want to talk about is inspiration. How did we get here today? Garrett and I, both together as well as separately, we have visited over 24 public markets across the world. In some of them domestically, some of them, as I said, internationally. But really, we're getting our inspiration from a few in particular. When you think about, I spent this morning rehearsing this. I don't speak Spanish. La Boqueria. I probably did not do that very well. Okay, thank you. In Barcelona, which is one of the most famous public markets in the world. And then, of course, domestically, Pike Place in Seattle that attracts over 10 million visitors a year. The Findlay Market in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had the pleasure of visiting that one a couple of years ago. But we've, again, as I said, all over the world. Florence, Hamburg, Kansas City, Louisville, Washington, D.C. There are a lot of great facilities. This is not an unproven concept. In fact, it's a very well-established one, and we're excited to replicate the success of other communities. There's something that we oftentimes talk about. We don't have to be the most innovative in the room. We just have to take a great idea and make it better. And that's what we're determined to do. But of course, Milwaukee is one of the most recognized that we see locally. And interestingly, it's the one that we feel most closely reflects what will be successful here in Green Bay. A couple of highlights: Milwaukee Public Market attracts 2 million visitors a year. So when we establish our targets, it's very reflective of what we've seen to the south of us, but obviously scaling it appropriately for our community. It's continually ranked as one of the best public markets in America, as well as one of the top tourist destinations in the city of Milwaukee. They just recently celebrated their 15-year anniversary, and something that's notable, which we're going to cover, is they are owned and operated by the 3rd Ward Business Improvement District. And you may not realize it standing in this space right now because of walls and where the floors are, but it is almost identical in terms of the square footage of the space that you are standing in today. So we want to talk about construction a little bit. All told, we are estimating approximately $10 to $12 million in construction costs for this particular project. Garrett called out earlier Grafe. They've been a partner for us in the first phase of this. They developed the renderings and the floor plans, and we are incredibly grateful for their support to get us to this point today. They've also conducted what's called an MEP, or our mechanical engineering and plumbing inspections, so that we understand that this building is 40 years old. Those are all going to have to be replaced, but it's still a critical piece of the process to understand what our infrastructure is, including the environmental conditions that exist within the property. And we've been working with Neil at the city to really get our arms around doing that phase 1 so that we can be prepared for closing on the property. And then in addition, something outside of this building is really taking a focus on that streetscape. So what does the outside look like, the outdoor patio here? What are some of the other infrastructure needs that might exist in and around this facility to support the volume of traffic that we're anticipating? Second piece is funding, right? We can talk about construction, but at the end of the day, how are you going to pay for it? There's a number of things that we're actively working on. Of course, ARPA funds are readily available in a number of outlets right now, whether it be state, city, or county, and we are currently assembling requests for those. In fact, have written a number of grants to the state in particular for receipt of some of those funds. We anticipate launching a capital campaign this summer. And you know, one of the things oftentimes when you see capital campaigns, there's not a revenue generation piece to back that up, and one of the things we're excited about is that we have that within a public market. You will have tenants, you will have folks that come here to spend money. Naming rights, if anyone out there is looking to write a check for naming rights, we're certainly happy to have that conversation. And just a couple of other things, new market tax credits, because this is a food-driven environment. The USDA has some opportunities for us. So really you can see that there are a number of opportunities, and at the end of the day, our board is really committed to seeing this project happen, and so there is a commitment for us to explore private financing to make this a reality as well, to close that gap that might exist until we can fully complete all of our fundraising objectives. And one of the things, that Garrett called out before, and I want to give a little bit more attention to, Chelsea Koken. This is the first time that we are publicly announcing this. She was with us pre-pandemic, as all of you know. Broadway was hit very hard with the pandemic, but we are back and stronger than we've ever been in the history of the organization, and we're very excited to bring Chelsea on as our Director of Special Projects. She not only is intimately familiar with the project, but the district, the businesses that exist here, and what our objectives are. And she's going to be our lead person not only on this project, but a few others that are yet to be announced. Oops. Is there a back button? Did I? There we go. Okay. So one of the things that we talk about, catalytic development. I apologize, the sun's hitting the screen. Parking, with any development, always, it's kind of like the age-old thing in downtown development, right? Everybody wants to talk about parking, and we're not immune to that fact. And so we do have a parking strategy to go along with this, which we're going to highlight in a little bit. But also we know that this is going to be a catalytic development for additional residential and commercial space, one of which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. The biggest thing is owner-operator. Why hasn't a public market happened in the city of Green Bay yet? The biggest thing is really the owner-operator component. There's a reason the private sector hasn't done this, because it's very difficult for the private sector to meet the rate of returns that are necessary for a true public market to meet its objectives. And so that's why we have taken the opportunity to step in and fill that void. but it also, as the operator of the market, you have an organization that has extensive experience with programming, which is another critical piece for the success of a public market. And so as we do talk about programming, what does that mean? Well, to give you some perspective, Milwaukee Public Market has, I believe it's 11 full-time employees. Now, we don't know yet from an operational standpoint where we'll fall on that, but we will have dedicated staff to programming this facility. And part of that, as Garrett alluded to, Judy Knutson. We are working with her right now, UW Extension, who obviously has a very food-driven component of their mission. And so we think that there's some really exciting opportunities to fill in some programming in a commercial kitchen space that would be part of this development. We did present to the Brown County PD&T Committee last night. So we're very excited to have Judy and her team at the table working with us to figure out how we can incorporate more of those public uses. Obviously, we'll partner with other private organizations, nonprofits that want to utilize the space. When you start thinking about bringing in things like yoga classes, dance classes, cooking classes, there are a lot of different things that you do to drive foot traffic to a facility like this. Okay, and then I mentioned the community kitchen. And of course, the community kitchen, really important because we see that is a space right now that is really lacking in our community. While there are a few out there, we think that there's a significant gap that we can fill there by creating opportunities for a lot of our food vendors, especially at our small events. So we want to talk about the impact to the Broadway district. One thing, when we talk about investments like this, when you look nationally, public investments that are made in markets like this are leveraged 20 times over through private investment. And indeed, you're going to see that be the case here already with an accompanying announcement that we have here in a little bit. It's a great space for cottage producers. If you're not familiar with that term, these are folks that work out of their homes that are doing things, and so we want to get them, we want to incubate them and get them into a full-time space. Obviously, new development, shoppers. On average, nationally, a public market shopper spends twice that of someone who goes to a mall. And so that's going to be really significant for the businesses in our district. Obviously, we want to see storefront vacancies drop, and that indeed, again, has been something you see consistently across other communities that have public markets. And oftentimes, there's a concern by nearby businesses. Okay, if this comes up and you create this concentration of 20-plus new businesses in right next door to me, are my sales going to drop? And again, statistically, what you see is that you're creating a bigger pie. And so while you're sharing the same customers, on average, sales grow, they triple for nearby facilities. And as I mentioned, one of the things that we are looking at is 1 million visitors per year here in our public market. And a critical piece of the importance of that is that we are extending the stay. When people come to Green Bay, when they come to the Broadway district, we are extending the amount of time that they spend here, and of course the amount of money that they spend here as well. And it is our hope and anticipation that this will become one of the top destinations here in the city of Green Bay. So neighbor inclusivity is really critically important to us. Because unlike a lot of these other public markets that are located in commercial corridors and that don't have a lot of residential density next to them, we are immediately adjacent to a qualified census tract here in the city of Green Bay. It is one of the lowest income neighborhoods in our city. Additionally, it is a designated food desert. So we think that there's a real opportunity for us to fill that gap. The vendors, the tenants that we want to recruit to this, we want to be really sensitive to culturally diverse needs within our community, and so we are actually planning to add staff that will be focused on that. And even when you think about things like EBT, right now we do matching bucks at our farmers market. We want to be able to extend that into the markets to make sure that a lot of the products that are being sold there are accessible by those who live immediately next to this building. So tenant mix. One of the things we often talk about is the importance of art versus science. Being able to choose the right tenants rather than the tenants that cut a rent check that gives you the highest rate of return. And when you are an authentic public market, you can make those choices that contribute to the long-term success of your facility. It's very food forward. This is a food focused facility, meaning that you're not going to see this converted into a retail center. You may have some options there, but it is food first. Milwaukee, what most folks don't realize is Milwaukee started out initially more of like a grocery store type of concept, and they struggled in the beginning. And so we're learning from their early mistakes that ultimately led to their great success, which is this conversion to a hybrid model, which includes prepared food. And so we are not angling towards a food hall. This is a hybrid model that also includes a wide variety of grocery options. In one of the ways I think that we're able to really ensure the success of those businesses is below market rent rates. That, again, is critically important to the success of the facility and the tenants that are in there. It's our expectation that we are going to create opportunities for over 20 new businesses in this facility. A couple years ago, I was talking about our 5-year goals of adding over 50 new businesses into the Broadway district. It's finally exciting to be able to share how we're going to achieve that goal. This is one piece of it. There are other pieces as well. And so with that, we talk about the private event space, tenant space as well. I think it's important because part of that will be for rent, but a lot of it is activation and public seating. And so, but there will be some additional opportunities for community engagement within those spaces. And that's another thing as well that we've been talking to Judy about at Extension. So with that, it's my pleasure again to welcome back Mr. Garrett Bader, who's actually going to go over some of the renderings and some of the design features that we're looking at here.
Okay, so we know what we would like to see in the market. Let's talk a little bit about how it's going to lay out. I think we know generally where we are, near west side of the river, of course, downtown. We have outlined in red the shipyard. There's some fun things we're working on there, too. That'll come some point in the future. Yellow, of course, is where we are here between Walnut and Dousman Streets. And looking at it from the bird's eye, I think we have a nice opportunity to fit into what we have affectionately known as our core part of the district. Looking at it top down, the outline in red box is Old Fort Square, the property where we are. Immediately behind it, which we'll talk about momentarily, is an opportunity for companion development. So you've seen the renderings here that are now all around you. In fact, when you're up and you have a chance, please enjoy and take a look at them. You'll see them a little more even directly than you can because of the sun on the monitor here today. But what we're hoping to do is provide a much more welcoming, street-friendly presence to this facility, where you would come, hang out, whether that's to have coffee or an item or to purchase something, and you can see people. The street front's active. There's seating. There are open glass garage doors. In the summer months, you can even hang out on balcony spaces, as you'll see in some of the images here on the wall, and just enjoying the environment. Picture a Wednesday Broadway farmers market night, where you have 10 to 15,000 people walking up and down the street and kind of hanging out and enjoying a beer on a nice day. Even at night. I mean, a big part of making facilities like this work are the neighborhoods and that feeling of security and safety, and new lighting and new streetscaping is going to be a big part of what we want to see happen with this project, including some cool neon letters. So in terms of layout, again, you'll see them a little bit better even later on when we're done here, and you can look at the boards there in front of you, but what we're trying to have is a variety of sizes on the first floor and on the second floor that can be welcoming to a broad range of tenants. Not every tenant will need the largest size, and not every tenant will need things like a hood or a grease trap or things like that. And what we're trying to do is make this welcoming for a wide variety of users that can sell or produce a number of different types of products. On the second floor, as you'll see here, we have a little bit of an overhang. We have some lovely folks watching us here from on top as well. We're going to be expanding this so you have this feeling of this open air ceiling, that true market type of vibe. Up there will be a kitchen that we anticipate with much of the partnerships that we've talked about here, a test kitchen, event space that can bleed for a number of different events that we would host as part of that. Now we have, we've told you how we are going to fill the space out. Who do we want to have here? Who are the tenants that we want? Brian's got a little bit more about that.
Okay, so as Garrett said, this is kind of the fun piece where, we get past the nuts and bolts and the boring stuff of it, and what do I get to eat and what do I get to drink? And so with that, it is my pleasure to first introduce to you to Ben and Celeste Cadman. If you guys could come on up and talk a little bit about your business.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. And today, as I'm sure all of you are feeling, is just an incredibly exciting time for our community. Ben and I started our business, Voyagers Bakehouse, just about 3 years ago with an intention to bring a new and exciting food concept, an experiential food concept to our community with a real core purpose of bringing people together. And we did that over bread as our start. And so We are excited to be joining this space with a new brand that will be by Voyagers that we will bring into this space, and you'll get to hear more about that over the coming time. Now, we want to just talk about why do we want to be a part of this? Why is this important to us? Well, when exploring our business, we had so many options of where in Green Bay to plant our bakehouse. If you know anything about our story, we got started in a shared church kitchen and eventually took the plunge into a full bakehouse. And at our core, it was about helping to be a part of this downtown revival that is continuing to happen. And so I'm going to hand it over to Ben, and he's going to talk a little bit about how we got our start in terms of farmers markets and what Broadway has meant to us as well.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yeah, truly exciting to be part of this announcement today. We started many years ago down here on Broadway. I think it was in Jill's and Tommy's space. We had our first pop-up table selling sourdough bread that I was baking at home. And then it's basically snowballed since, and we have a wonderful bakehouse just down here in Broadway in the rail yard district. And we're excited to expand and continue that story, be part of Broadway for a long, long time, and be part of this amazing conversion in this building. We can't wait to explain more about what we're going to put in here. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to stick to our brand promises. It's going to be experiential. Above all, it's going to be high quality and delicious.
That's right. Yep. So it is with total excitement. If you follow along with us in our Voyagers, we'll be announcing a little bit more throughout the year. And want to highlight what isn't changing. Voyagers Bakehouse will remain here on Broadway, our location in Appleton that just started. This is a new concept that we'll be bringing to this space. And again, as Ben mentioned, what can you expect from us? Really looking to our local other artisans, growers, to bring a beautiful product that will enhance the community gathering space that this new public market will bring to us. So it's an honor to be invited to be here, and we are excited to share more over the coming months.
And if you have not been in their facility, I encourage you to do it. They've gotten my wallet into trouble on more than one occasion, but totally worth it. Okay, our second tenant that we want to introduce to you, if I could have Renee Mayday and David come on up and share a little bit about your concept.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Renee. This is David. And we are West Coast Seafood and Chowder. We're like over the moon to be here today and about this wonderful announcement. You have to excuse me because I'm a reader. This project on Broadway is a dream come true for us. Why us and the public market? Well, after a lifetime of living and cooking on the West Coast, but mostly in Seattle and Portland, we returned here to the Midwest. We're both from the Midwest, and we decided to come back and bring some of our culinary experiences to Green Bay. And we're excited about doing that. We came last summer as Pacific Crab Company, and we were a part of a lot of on-Broadway events. 4th of July was our first. We also did the market for the summer. And some of you might remember our lobster and crab mac and cheese, our Krabby Leek chowder, some of our best sellers. We were truly, truly, truly humbled by the warm welcome that we received in Green Bay. Now as West Coast Seafood and Chowder Company, we hope to bring that West Coast twist, I say attitude, to Green Bay, and to some of the best seafood that we can source. We're hoping to source seafood from all coasts. We have some good connections from all over the country that we could bring some great seafood here. Alaskan salmon, Pacific Dungeness crab, Maine lobster, Louisiana crawfish, and the best that the Middle Coast has to offer from these beautiful lakes here. Not only are we going to cook for you our favorite recipes, but we are also going to partner with a store here, a seafood vendor here in town, and provide for you some of the finest smoked and fresh seafood that we can provide. You can follow this progress as to who that vendor is going to be and how we're going to progress both on Facebook and Instagram at our West Coast Seafood and Chowder. We're looking to bring some fresh, amazing seafood to Green Bay in a fresh and amazing new area. I wanted to thank on Broadway for this amazing opportunity. I want to thank Green Bay for the really warm welcome we've received, and to let you know that we're so thrilled about this announcement, and I think you'll be as thrilled as we are down the road. It's a great adventure, and thank you. Oh, and I can't wait to make you your first cup of crab chowder. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Renee and David. Obviously, being located next to the Great Lakes, we know freshwater fish very well, but I will trust someone from the West Coast any day on seafood, so we're excited to have you. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce to you a venue that is known to the Broadway District for creating so many memorable experiences and memories. Tommy and Jill Everman with Gather.
Good morning. My heart is racing, not because I'm nervous to speak, but just for one, I really want the crab biscuit, whatever you guys are doing, and because this is so exciting. A few years back, I was able to be on Food Network for a summer, and one of the few things that was awesome about that was their headquarters was in Chelsea Market in New York. So every day I would get to go up to Chelsea Market, and that's where I would go to work, essentially. And I fell so in love with it. And as soon as he came out to visit me, I immediately took him to Chelsea Market, and I kind of became obsessed with public markets. So once we heard there was a rumor that something like this could happen, I feel like we jumped. Like I looked at him and I said, "Get involved!" So it's just super exciting. It's something that's so needed. And it's something that Tommy and I, for the last few years, have come up with really cool ideas, really fresh, really things that we look at and go, what is Green Bay missing? And we have these ideas, but we've never been able to find a place to put them. So I'll kind of let Tommy take it from here, but we have a few ideas that we're wrapping our brains around, and that's as much as I'm going to say about that. You can take it from there.
No, thank you everybody for being here. I share her excitement, everybody's excitement. I came from Southern California. She convinced me to move here, and what I always love to tell this story is that I got to come out and travel for 13 years before I moved here and see Green Bay in 3-day snapshots. And to see the change that happens in these 3-day increments is truly amazing. And I always share that story because I want everybody in the community to know Green Bay is a really, really cool town. And people are, why did you move to Green Bay? Because it's a cool town, and the opportunity to be part of one of these projects that could change the face of not just the downtown area, but the city, you jump at that chance. You can appreciate being married to someone you own a business with, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, you're talking about ideas, and it never stops. And so she nailed it on the head, a place where all of a sudden you go, oh, some of these ideas might work. We would love to sit here and tell you exactly what that idea is, but it's very early on in that process. We are just excited to be part of it. We're committed to the idea, and we can't wait to share what we come up with. I mean, even knowing that there's a commercial space, and I happen to believe that I'm married to one of the best chefs in Green Bay, and if it's gonna be food forward, space, why wouldn't you bring someone like that to the project and have them be involved? It will be most likely, I would say convincingly, probably not an event space like Gather. It'll be a completely new concept, but we have some fun ideas. And I think the one question we ask ourselves is what is missing, what is missing? But I think as entrepreneurs, it's important to ask yourself also, where do I want to go? And I can't think of a place. Owning a business down the street, my team, everybody in this community is going to want to come down here, not just at night during public farmers markets, but also throughout the entire week. And we are excited to possibly be part of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy and Jill. And obviously, folks, we're showcasing some of our new tenants, and even though they don't have the concept fleshed out, they are honed in on something that's going to be a really exciting contributor to the space, but they just don't want to announce it prematurely in case they pivot. But that also is the opportunity for us to signal to others out there that might have an interest in the space. Now is the time to reach out and start those conversations with us. And so the fourth and final tenant that I would like to introduce you to does have an established concept that they are going to recreate here. So we have had the opportunity, we've been talking to them for multiple years now, probably upwards of 3 years now, I think. It is an exciting thing to introduce to you, to Peter and Jen Gentry of One Barrel Brewing Company.
Good height. So I was going to try not to say excited because everybody is, but after seeing this presentation and hearing about some of the other tenants, I mean, truly that's the best word to describe it. So a little bit about One Barrel. We started in Madison 10 years ago, brewing one barrel at a time in a space not much larger than some of these market vendors. What do you call them? Food suites. Let's call them suites. Will be so we understand and appreciate how this type of concept can grow a small business. About 4 years ago, we moved up, we opened a second location in Egg Harbor up in Door County, and Jen, who's from Green Bay, convinced me to move up to Sturgeon Bay, which Madison to Sturgeon Bay is kind of like Southern California to Green Bay. It's always cold though. And we've seen great success there, and we really wanted to focus on a sort of a family-friendly environment that was very welcoming to the community as a whole. I think it's a great way to get families out to experience sort of a nightlife or something like, something that they may not normally have experienced. And I'm also taken by the fact that every one of the businesses that's been announced has been a couple, which is really refreshing to see. I think it shows us a lot of energy, and plus it'll offer kind of multiple perspectives and hopefully drive things in a really positive direction. So we're excited to put in a 3-barrel system, relatively smaller system, which we've heard the joke a million times. So now you can't call yourself One Barrel, so hopefully no newscasters jump on that. And so we'll have a restaurant concept which will be focused on handheld foods and really looking to welcome people in from the street or folks that are in shopping at the market. And I guess I want to close my piece of this by saying that I am truly excited, and this is a great opportunity. And if anybody out there is considering vending here, jump on it right away. I can pretty much guarantee the space is going to fill up and everyone here is going to see great success. So with that, I'll hand it over to my Green Bay native wife.
Thank you. We all keep using the word exciting, and it really is. It's pretty special for me to have left here after high school and gone to Madison and come back and just have seen the vast improvements and just the life that's kind of brought back into the Green Bay area. I know that, when I was trying to talk him into this being the right place for us to open a second location, he really questioned me a lot. After being here for a few years, it's just really held true that this is the right place to be. And now moving back down into the Green Bay area specifically is just really exciting. I see so much life down on Broadway, and we're really excited to just be a part of it. We're really, really thrilled about the concept. In Egg Harbor, it's really important to us to have it be very family-friendly, open, airy, where you're just comfortable, no matter if you're a younger couple or you have 3 kids with you. And so this seems to be the perfect place for us to call our next home. So thank you so much for working with us over the last several years and getting us interested, and hopefully this is a really, really fun next project for us all. So thank you all.
So a quick fun story. Garrett and I had actually invited Peter and Jen to come up, and we were very strategic about inviting them here on a Wednesday night farmers market day, right? Because we want to see all the excitement, energy that surrounded the district on those Wednesday nights. And Peter outsmarted us by coming on the Monday before to check out what the district looked like on a Monday. And he is still committed, and that's what we absolutely love about it. So thank you to our 4 tenants who are willing to go public with us today to talk about this. We actually are having ongoing conversations with a number of other people already as well. So so we have no doubt that once, now that this is public, that we are going to continue to secure that excitement. And so, as we mentioned earlier, this project is a $10 to $12 million redevelopment. So how does our press release say that we are doing $30 million of investment? And so with that, it is my pleasure to introduce to you an accompanying developer. When we first, Garrett and I went down to Milwaukee, I want to thank Dave Donian, who helped us make this introduction to the folks down at General Capital out of Milwaukee, who have a really great concept. SIG, General Capital. Oh, he's right up front here. All yours, Sig.
Great, good morning, everybody. If it's not obvious, this is exciting. But a little bit about what we're doing. Basically, General Capital is a real estate developer that focuses a lot on commercial development, on mixed-use residential development. And so we're looking to do the tangent development that'll be next door to the west, that we're calling the Broadway Market Apartments, which will be a mixed-use project with basically 90 units, some retail on the ground floor, and accompanying parking. We've got some great partners that we're working with, including Continuum Architects out of Milwaukee and David Donian as well, who's our local broker here. And when we started looking at this project, we asked our architects to look at the district and not just the piece of property. And what they really recognize is that Broadway is a major kind of the epicenter of the energy on this side of the river, and also right at this crossroads where Hubbard and Broadway come together. But then they started to look at how the east-west connections would work. And so I wanted to share with you kind of what they came up with as our design concept. But overall, when we approach these things, we try to look at what every single project is unique, right? And so we look at a really community-focused, kind of a neighborhood-centric approach to our developments. And so we're really excited about the current trends that are out there for high-quality, affordable housing and middle-market housing, which we believe is going to be a perfect match for what's going on in the market and kind of the regeneration of the entire district, and continue to build on that, on the energy of the Broadway district with our project. And so as we look at these two spines, basically, where Broadway is the primary kind of element, right? Our architects started to look at the connections that were east-west, coming up Hubbard from the river and also going into the neighborhoods, and how can we connect the neighborhoods to the west. And we started to look at what that meant in terms of the special places that we could create with our project. And we started to look at a series of plazas that are happening in the east-west direction, and we're going to put a plaza right in front of our project. Basically a nice public open space where people can gather, and that can be kind of the indoor-outdoor space for our property as well. And that outdoor plaza is really the focal point of the public space. But then also we looked at the side street where we wanted to make sure that not just Hubbard, but also Chestnut had activity. And so we're going to have direct entry units, probably some townhomes that are engaged into our building on the side of the building. We're going to tuck parking behind and underneath our building so that we can actually accommodate the whole building program and still have activity on the street, which we think is really super critical for a good project. And so the floor plans here, probably a little difficult to read, but basically we have underground parking. And on the ground floor of our project, we have those townhomes engaged on Chestnut, and then parking tucked behind and below our building from the east side, and some public parking, replacing some of the parking that is there now, so we can support the public parking needs in the district as well. So this particular scheme has 160 parking stalls, which I think is important. I think everyone's concerned about maintaining that. But most importantly, what we want to do is bring activity to the street and make sure that there's 24/7 activity, the kind of thing that really makes a district come to life, which is additional residential density, which is what we need to be successful as well. Timing-wise, we have some fundraising and financing to get together, but we could be actually closing on this property, working with On Broadway, Brian and Garrett, and the mayor as well, on basically closing potentially as early as this fall and being under construction, or otherwise going into 2023 as we evolve these plans. But we just really look forward to engaging the community, engaging these stakeholders to make sure that this becomes kind of a great project that's better, as a larger project than a concept that is, going to be $30 million plus. So we look forward to the hard work starting now. We want to roll up our sleeves and start the process. And we thank you for the invitation to take a look at the project, because it really truly is the epicenter. It is very exciting. So thank you.
All right, so I think it's important to stress at this point, we've talked about the excitement, we've talked about the energy, the figurative sunshine and the brightness that we're working on. This is not the finish line yet today, though. There are a lot of pieces that we need to put together yet. My favorite thing is the Tetris pieces that they fall into place. We have some Tetris pieces that we need to do that for, but that is, the important stretch of going forward here. How can today's announcement help get us to that point and make it so that this facility can realize its full potential along with the accompanying development over the next 18 to 20 months or so. So from today, what we really need to work on are a couple of things. Brian touched on it earlier, funding. We have a capital campaign that will be kicking into high gear now. We have grant dollars and some of these different ARPA-sourced funds that we have been seeking through our city, county, and our state partners on this project. As we continue to do that, at the same time, we are going to continue to recruit some of those tenants that we referenced. The website is live right now, downtowngreenbay.com/public market. If you're interested, check it out. We want to hear from you. These will occur over the next 6 to 8 months as we put these pieces together and hopefully have something that we can then say, yes, we're ready to go. At the same time, what we want to be very respectful towards and appreciative of is that you have existing folks for whom this building has been home for a number of years. And we have started to reach out. We want to have those discussions on what is needed. Whenever you do a project like this, there's invariably the feeling that there's some disruption. There's a little bit of that in-between phase. We want everyone who's here to remain part of our Broadway district family, that we as on Broadway can help ensure that everything is not only good for this new plan, but also for existing users and tenants as well. And forgive me, I'm going to do what Brian did and just take a peek because the sun is playing tricks. Right, so if we can work on those elements we talked about, our entitlements of the city here over the next 6 to 8 months, we would love to be doing renovation work this fall and to be able to open up this facility in its new era sometime next year in 2023. So with that, what I will say is a thank you to everyone for coming today. Again, it's been a wonderful day. We can't wait to really bring this project to the community. And I need to see again, I forgot Tommy before saying he was a board member, so I love you, dude. Gail, we may have to elevate Tommy to board president just right now because I feel bad. So thank you again for coming today. We're excited to have everyone here, everyone who showed up. Myself, Brian, Sig, the mayor, if there are any specific questions that any of our media friends may have, I think all of us would be happy to answer some of those at this time. If not, we have media packets that Brooke, I believe, has prepared for everyone. If you don't have one, please find Brooke before you take off. I mentioned the website is live at downtowngreenbay.com/public-market. There are refreshments here. Our friends at Voyagers sourdough, there's coffee, there's water. Nobody wants to carry that home. So please, please go, have some, and then take a walk around. A lot of the imagery that you saw here, you can see in a little more detail, especially as Sig was pointing out some of the housing concepts there on those boards. We'd love to have you take a peek, and again, thank you for coming.